In my second fight, I was rushing takedowns. I needed to work on my hands, but I wasn't comfortable, so I would rush the takedowns because I'm more comfortable on the floor and ground and pound and whatnot. So I was like, let me get better with my hands. So what better place to do it than train with Joel Diaz and Antonio Diaz. I got to spar with Cub Swanson.
Bad Bunny has 70 million Spotify listeners.
Crazy.
Taylor Swift has 70 million Spotify listeners, and they're completely different audiences. You could have 100,000 fans. The same person next to you can make a song and have 100,000, and it could be completely different audiences. People think you're competing with the people around you, but it's like, no, like, let's create the best product. If I could help you create a good product.
Before I talk too much shit, I live in an abundance mentality. We live in a world where there's endless possibilities, and the whole reason why I brought that up, you said 8 billion people. This area, you know, Coachella only has so many, you know, it's not the biggest area in the world. And to think that, oh, if I win, that means you lose. It's just a bad mentality to have. I'm completely against it. I live in a world where you can win, I can win. Exactly. I can have a full plate and you can have a full plate. And you know what? We could be at the same barbecue and we're all eating.
Ethan Morales, thank you for coming to the podcast, bro.
Yo, pleasure to meet you, Mr. Angel.
Like we said, we're in a small valley. We were saying before we started recording, and like we all kind of like know about each other. We kind of run into each other somewhere. We know somebody that knows somebody. But thank you for coming on the podcast. Okay,
so growing up, that's what they called me, E. So that's why it's just one letter. People are too lazy to say Ethan. But yeah, I've been doing music all my life. I started playing instruments at a very young age. 8 years old, I picked up drums, and it just evolved from there. You know, I grew up in the South. Although we would come to the Coachella Valley pretty often, mostly winters. I'm a father first. My daughter, she's 8 years old. MMA fighter. I wrestled in high school, so that's kind of where the MMA background comes from. And then, yeah, put my first single out in 2021. And I've been moving ever since.
So you grew up in the South?
North Carolina specifically. Yeah, Fayetteville, actually. Many people know J. Cole. Yeah. The same city.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's sick. Do you know like the people in there?
Oh, yeah, we used to ball all the time. No, I'm playing. No, he was actually a basketball player. Small community out in Fayetteville too. But yeah, so very heavy on hip hop, very heavy. So a lot of gospel as far as music goes. I grew up in the church, so my father was a minister. Yeah. So instruments were available to me all the time. It's kind of where I started singing in church. Yeah.
And so you moved out here when you were a kid to the
So
area?
I came out at the end of my senior year. Although when I was very young, we'll fast forward a little bit. I'm sorry, rewind a little bit. I was born in California. My mother had met my father who adopted me. He was a Marine at the time. So Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree, Coachella Valley's always kind of been a part of. We've had family out here or friends, so we've always visited when it's not as hot. More so in the wintertime, we'd come out here every January. We'd come visit, say hello. So I've been kind of like part-time from the area.
Yeah. No, it's a melting pot. Everybody here is from somewhere. Like, I mean, there's some people that are from just here and shit, but I feel like
especially in the military base, you get people coming from all over. You know, I know a lot of folks from Mexico out this way, and yeah, man. Yeah. I'm happy to be here. I love the community. There's a lot going on, I think.
So
but we'll get into it.
Let's go back to your first single. So you started making music in 2021, or you were already making like songs before that, or when did you decide I want to make music? When did you make that leap?
I started writing probably around 11 years old. I was singing in the church ever since I can remember. As far as hip hop goes, really when we moved to the South. So I was about 11 years old when we moved out to North Carolina. So I went to middle school, high school, and that's where, you know, just freestyling in the lunchroom, you know, banging on the tables. And, you know, that's really where it started for me. So we moved out here my senior year of high school. It was around 2011, not to date myself. But yeah, moved out here.
Oh, you graduated 2011?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out.
The best year.
The best year for sure.
But yeah, so moved out here 2011. It was probably about 23 years old where I decided, all right, let me take this music seriously. Because I was always at the house parties playing guitar, singing, rapping. I was always trying to be in the mix. But I didn't take it really seriously until about 23. And then the next 5 years, I really pushed to try to get some music out. So, well, as we know, music, it takes a lot of money, so studio time and knowing the right people. That took a bit, but 2021 was when everything kind of fell into place for me.
And when you say music, so you're saying that music is not just talent, it's there's more to it. There's more to the formula.
So and that's something that I think is missed. A lot of people don't see that. Especially where we're at now. I mean, you got to be content creators. You have to market yourself. And that really didn't click in my brain till I moved out to Hollywood. So I was about 25 years old and moved out to West Hollywood. And I really started to see it. Started to ask people, ask around, kind of get into the music scene a little bit. And a lot of people said, hey, you're great at singing. You have good, you got good bars and stuff, but like your marketing, you don't market yourself right. That's what it's about. It's how you push your brand, and it's way more than just having good time. There's thousands of us that are great at singing and rapping, but you really got to put it all together. And that's when it really clicked for me. I was like, all right, well, how do I want to push my brand? And from there, it's evolved. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'll say. It's not just about music anymore. You can make good music and never go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Without knowing the right people or market yourself correctly.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like if you're an artist, you almost should be just focusing on writing. Studio time.
I hate social media in itself, man. Just learning that in itself, that's a whole. For me, I feel like as artists, all we want to do is make music, but unfortunately, if you haven't got signed or, you don't know somebody that knows somebody, you got to do everything else from the ground. You have to treat it like a business.
And earlier you were talking about making or thinking of making music almost like playing a sport. Like it's...
Yes.
So we're talking about you have to learn how to have stage presence, being in front of a camera, and you have to do all these reps, and then you get to perform, and then you got to do it again, and you got to learn and watch film and get better, and then you got to keep showing up and
absolutely
get better in the studio and get better working with people.
You want to get around people. You want to put yourself in the right opportunities. Take every opportunity, I would say. But yeah, treat it like a sport. There's always ways to improve. I know for me, the bars might be great in one area, but the flow needs help, so let me work on my flow, or yeah, I can sing, but maybe I don't write as often as I should. So even as simple as taking time every day, like putting in, like you said, the reps, you got to take 15, 20. For me, I take an hour a day. Every time I'm in the car, I'm listening to a beat. I'm always writing, I'm always thinking, I'm always writing. Whenever I get an idea, I write it down. It really becomes a lifestyle after that. You have to take your passion and really put in that work. I feel like that's very key. You know what I'm saying?
I heard J. Cole. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I heard J. Cole talk about like he wakes up at 5 a.m. and he writes for an hour before starting his day, because he says that's the only time the world is kind of stopped before everyone wakes up. He'll get in there and start writing for an hour, and then boom, he still has whatever he does in the rest of the day. He already put in that hour. Maybe the rest of the day he's also in the studio, or maybe he has some family stuff or traveling.
And I guarantee you, if you were to talk to him, to add to that, I guarantee you, if you were to talk to him, there's days where you take that hour and you don't write shit. You tried to write, nothing really came about. You wrote one bar, and then there's days where you sit down and you can write a whole song. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just taking the time, letting the universe know, like, hey, this is important to me. Like, I want to put in that work, For me, I'm a night owl, so you're not going to catch me at 5 a.m. I'm usually like, I'll stay up a little later. Everybody's asleep. I'll listen to my beats, or like I said, in my car alone, I'll have like a beat pack playing, and, just kind of, that's kind of, for me, that's what I do. And I think it's necessary. Like you said, it's a sport. And in order to improve, and I think you were saying on the podcast, how many people you said? It's what, 7 billion? What'd you say in the streaming?
Yeah, there's almost 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
So like you make a song, you could have 100,000 fans, and then the same person next to you can make a song and have 100,000, and it could be completely different audiences. So you're not competing. That's what I was saying, like working with others, because we're competing. People think you're competing with the people around you, but it's like, no, like let's create the best product. If I could help you create a good product, and we work together, and we're reaching the potential 7 billion people, you know?
Yes.
The way some artists, for example, Bad Bunny has 70 million Spotify listeners.
Crazy.
Taylor Swift has 70 million Spotify listeners, and they're completely different audiences. There's some cross in there, but you know
I'm sure there might be a little cross, but you're right.
Yeah, like
the people that listen to Bad Bunny, there's probably a lot of them that don't listen to Taylor Swift, and vice versa.
Yeah, and there's so this year at Coachella, there was an artist from India. His name's Diljit. I don't know his numbers, but this was like the #1 artist in India. He probably has like 100 million people listening to his shit, and we have never even heard his song. There's someone in like Blackpink from South Korea that was at Coachella too. Their fan base is insane. It's mostly like younger audience, but it's the K-pop Korean stuff. There was the night they performed at Coachella, there was 10 million social media posts that had the name Coachella in it, and 78% of them had Blackpink. Blackpink fans had 78% of anybody that mentioned Coachella during that night. That's
nuts.
Like, and you know, we don't listen to that. They have their own 50 million people. So that's what I meant. Like, at least the ones here that we're saying like locals don't want to work with each other, but it's like they think they're competing with their same audience.
Yeah, let's tap into that for a second. Are we there yet?
Yeah.
We're there. So that's what I was gonna say. Before I start to talk shit, can I cuss? I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
Before I talk too much shit, I wanna let everybody know, like, I believe I live in a the way I think is I live in an abundance mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where we live in a world where there's endless possibilities, and the whole reason why I brought that up, you said 8 billion people. You know. Man, that's the amount of possibilities that can stream from that many people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's endless. And to think that, you know, all you have is this area, you know, Coachella only has so many, you know, it's not the biggest area in the world. And to think that, oh, if I win, that means you lose. It's just a bad mentality to have. I'm completely against it. I live in a world where you can win, I can win. Exactly. I can have a full plate and you can have a full plate. And you know what? We could be at the same barbecue and we're all eating, you know what I'm saying, together. And I really think that needs to be like, I feel like in this area, for me at least, you have people that haven't really been out. You know, you have a lot of people that grew up here or came here and settled here. And with that being said, sometimes you lose that, you know, understanding that there is 8 billion people. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a huge world, you know? So, especially in the hood, I mean, I grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, not the best of places. And what you'll see a lot of times is like that crab in the barrel mentality. You know what I'm saying? You see one crab getting out and the rest of the crabs will pull them down. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I feel like knowing that, hey, we could all get out of this barrel together, it's a much better, you know, there's a lot more possibility out of that versus you know, oh, he's winning, or oh, he's winning, so that means I'm losing, or I can't eat if he has a plate. It's like, nah, just wait your turn. You know what I'm saying? It'll be there when you're ready. You know, he's not stopping you from eating. If you want to eat, it's out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if like you said, if you want to make music, put it out, work with other people. There's 8 billion people. There's 8 billion possibilities out there. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like, anybody could tap in, and it might not be for everybody, but that's not the point. You know what I'm saying? So, just to touch on that before we get into anything else, I think it's very important to live with that. Man, anything can happen. Every moment has its own treasure. You know what I'm saying? Every moment has its own. Anything can happen at any moment or any time. You know what I'm saying? The possibility is endless, really. And you winning is not, you know, that has nothing to do with what's on my plate. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Just you have one meal, and you can bring in more meals to the
plate.
And then
like
you have
some
more
days,
options,
some days I like Indian
better.
food. You know what I'm saying? Some days I like Mexican food. Like,
and how you were saying, the people here in the valley have that kind of mindset because the people kind of come settle. It is a resort town. It's people come here to retire. It's known for, you know, tourism. how does it compare to, let's say, when you say you lived in Hollywood for a while and you say you lived in Vegas as well?
Yeah.
How do you see the hustle in other cities that you've been to, other places?
Well, you'll notice when people come out of the, I think very good advice is you should leave your hometown. So I'm not putting on the area, Coachella Valley, specifically, Coachella Valley. This is how they think, because there are people like us who don't think like that. But what I will say is, when you grow up in certain areas, I feel like what was the original question? I'm sorry.
How does it compare? Because you said the Coachella Valley is kind of close-minded, or the people from here are close-minded, but
can be close-minded.
Can be close-minded. So how does the hustle culture or the artists or the music scene in the other areas that you've been? So like you lived in Vegas, you lived in Hollywood, compared to here is what I was trying to say.
I just think it's more hustle. I think it's more fast paced. It's a lot. So like you said, these people come here to retire, enjoy the views, do some shrooms. You know what I'm saying? That's smoke some weed. You know what I'm saying? That's what you feel me? That's what we come here to do. That's why this area is so beautiful. That's what it is, you know? But outside of that, you have a lot of talent here that is unheard, you know what I'm saying? And really hasn't been out due to certain circumstances. I know that I don't know the differentiation. How do you say that word? The difference between like the mid class versus poor. What do you know the stats on that or anything?
About like what do you
like
mean?
As far as poor versus rich?
The stats about what?
Like where people like, how do I say it? Like yeah, what is it?
The demographics.
Demographics, yeah. So I feel like there is a demographic that might not have all the means, you know what I'm saying? Might not have all the, you know, the money to go do studio time or to move to a bigger city, or, you know, their family has planted their roots here. And so kind of the only way to operate, especially in California, it's so expensive, is it kind of keeps you there, you know what I'm saying? But also sometimes it closes your mind. So the difference, I would say, there's a big difference. Everybody out in the city, they're out there for exposure. They're out there to find, you know, to meet people. I know for me, when I went out there with the intention of, okay, I want to find my tribe. I'm going to find my people. You know, I want to find other people and it was much easier, I would say, to find it versus when I came back, I want to say from Vegas, it took me about 6 months to even really tap into artists out here or get to know. Like, I didn't even hear about Rayvon. Not to name drop, but I didn't even hear about him for, it was probably a year. I was asking around, like, has anybody made it out of Coachella Valley? Like, has anybody? And I think he's from Long Beach, right?
He's from Long Beach, but he went to Indio High School.
Yeah, so
he was here for a while.
So he's been a part. And so other than that, as far as the rap game goes, as far as R&B goes, nobody's really blown up out of Coachella Valley, even though, like you said, we have the festivals here. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely creating some kind of marketing techniques, and it takes a lot of effort. It takes money, studio time. Right now, everybody is hoping that they get the one viral song that's gonna change their life, and I don't think they should approach making music in that way. I think they should approach it in training. You want to be the best at jiu-jitsu, you got to put in 10 years before you get your black belt. You show up every day and do your thing, and then you'll get your opportunities. And everyone here is like making a song, and they're hoping that song goes viral and changes the whole thing. And they're dropping one song every year, one song every 2 years, and they're hoping that song is the one, you know? Oh, what do you think of my song? Like, even if I like your song, or it doesn't matter, like, show me your next... You should be dropping.
What's your catalog?
30,
yeah, what's your catalog?
What's
what did you drop content this week?
What about the next 3 months? Do you have already like songs lined up and music videos and photo shoots and
all that costs money?
Yeah,
and so that's to bring that around. I think the biggest part of that is your intentions in creating, and your attention, where you're placing your attention. And like you said, if you really want to make this a living, you really have to fall in love with it, because nobody's spending the money for studio time. Nobody's for content, for doing all that. You're not spending that money, and you're not going to make that. I think it takes about 2 to 4 years to build any business. So when you think about music in a business, you know, mindset, or even sports like MMA, we can get into that in a little bit too. I feel like that your intention, where your intentions are and where your attention is placed, that's going to be a big push to what you're trying to do. So when you're approaching creative, getting in a creative mentality, like you want to come into it. Okay, let me make a song. Like, how am I feeling right now? Like, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I love it. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this. I know for me, music's been therapy to me. You know what I'm saying? I actually really enjoy listening to a beat and just being able to write how I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of, and that's my intention in making music. I just love music. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, and I feel like as artists, we live in a fast food generation where you want to pull up and get your burrito right away. And sometimes, and no fast food restaurant can beat mom's cooking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And mom's cooking takes time. You know what I'm saying? The crock pot's going, she's chopping up the onions, she's chopping up whatever, it takes time, but I feel like that's how you get quality music. And when your intentions are in the right place and you place your attention on, no, I'm doing this just because I love it. I'm not doing this to blow up. I'm not doing this because I want to go viral. Obviously, you want to be aware of what's going viral and what's happening around you. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it is a sport. But I think that at the soul of everything, it should be why are you doing this? And when you answer that question, it should be because I love it, because this is my passion, because this is what I want to do with my life,
Yeah, creating systems to, well, yeah, of course, you have to have passion, because if you're not doing it, you're gonna do the thing when you're only motivated to do it, and you're gonna, oh yeah, I'm in the studio, I got the studio, I'm doing this, and then the next week you don't feel like doing it, or something in your life happens, or at work, and you get discouraged, or you post your song and you did all this marketing and maybe a lot of people didn't resonate with that song. But if you have a good system and a good mindset, I like that you said you have to have the mindset before starting.
Yeah,
if you know the path, or
you won't last, and that's the thing. You'll fizzle out. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you'll drop one song, and you don't even love the song. You made the song with the intention of, is this gonna go viral? Is the beat cool enough? Is it catchy enough? Blah blah blah. Like your mindset is not like. People can tell that. People can feel that. I think in art, when you make art, you can feel when it's a one-hit wonder, or if somebody's just like, nah, they love this, and they're talking about their life, and they're putting their efforts. There's passion behind this. They feel this. I can relate to this. You know what I'm saying? I feel like in anything, that's how you should approach a situation. Because when you live in a world where there's tons of artists, and you know what I'm saying, like I feel like the one-hit wonders, they're coming by the tons. You know what I'm saying? Like TikTok. I mean, that's just, unfortunately, that little 15 seconds could go viral. But I feel like, with that being said, your intention's got to be in the right spot. It's got to be about passion. You got to be doing it because you love it, or else you're gonna fizzle out. It won't last. It won't last if you're going in it with, okay, I'm gonna have to. Because when it doesn't blow up, then you're out of energy. You're like, well, I put all this money, I did all this stuff. I don't even like the song, and the song didn't even go anywhere.
It's hard because we live in that era where everything is so accessible. And it's so much easier to make music now. There's apps on your phone where you could even do like some simple shit and create a song. And because everyone's able to do it, then you're competing with way more people, and you have to be able to market yourself. And I think it comes down to marketing. Everything comes down to marketing. If you're starting a business and you know how want to go after the right clients, you know what clients you're going to. Yeah, so you create a system, and you know how to market, and almost, you could say, who your target audience is. That has a big, like, you can make music that changes genres and that stuff too, but be intentional with that project. So like, if I'm making a song, who is my target audience? Who's going to listen to, of course, whatever lyrics and the beat and that kind of the sounds and the melodies. There's like an audience that likes that kind of music. Yeah,
you got a niche specific, right?
Niche for, I say per song, because as an artist, everyone does different styles. You
got every some song is a different layout.
Some love songs, some heartbreak songs, some motivation shit, some just club shit. I don't know. There's so much different types of music you can make. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you create that system and you start making that music, I think that takes away the emotions of feeling discouraged when it doesn't hit right away. Or sometimes it might take 2 to 4 years for you see some fucking progress.
Absolutely.
And you got to have that mindset, like, even if it doesn't fucking work out in the next 5 years, I got to fucking go hard. I'm going to drop as many songs as I possibly can. And a lot of times it's lack of discipline. Well, you're an MMA fighter, so you're not about discipline and showing up and going to the gym. So we'll talk about it in a little bit. But
you gotta show up.
I think it's important to have that discipline over the next 5 years. I'm going to do this and cut back on the time that's taken away from your craft, because maybe you don't have enough money for a lot of studio time, but if you stop watching less Netflix and watching less YouTube and less scrolling on TikTok and doing all
I want to touch up on that too. I want to touch up on that because I think I'll say this. In the beginning, we talked about, there was a period of time before I moved to Hollywood, right? There was about 5 years, and then I didn't even drop till 2021. That whole time, I was on YouTube, getting YouTube beats that I didn't own just to practice my raps, just to write some raps. If I found a YouTube beat that I really liked, maybe I'd lease it. You know what I'm saying? When I got the money, I'd lease it. And then sometimes it's okay to do that as long as you're making the effort. And I come from nothing too. So with that being said, we don't all just wake up with the studio, have perfect quality, know the right engineer, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't happen like that. But I believe that over time, if you're making the conscious effort, that moment's coming for you. And the same thing when it comes to MMA. You got to put in that gym work. You got to put in those times. There's going to be times where you sit down and you don't create anything, but you tried to sit down and create something. And that's the point. Like you said, the discipline, having the discipline. And you could do that with no money. You can go on YouTube with no money. You know what I'm saying? You could write for free. That doesn't cost you anything, And when the time comes, when you do have the budget, you know what I'm saying? You've saved up enough money. Then you go to the studio. Then you lease that beat, or you try to buy it, or so on and so forth. You feel me?
Could we talk about a little bit of the MMA side? Because that's a whole different side of you. So you did these vlogs that were saying super high quality. You did a training montage where you trained as hot springs.
Shout out Divine Visuals.
Divine Visuals killed it. The visuals are insane. Your music videos are insane too. So you just had a fight recently this year. So how do you get into MMA? What led you to that? And what was your experience of going through a training camp and getting your first fight? And was that your first fight?
No, second one.
Second fight.
So back in high school, I started wrestling. So funny story. I'll say it. So freshman year, I was 4'9", 83 pounds, tiny. I had moved from Lompoc, California, which is in Santa Barbara County. I moved there to the South. South is different. Everybody's over 6 foot. Everybody's corn-fed. It's a different world out there. I had played soccer growing up, and so soccer's not really big in the South, I'll be honest. So I think one year I played basketball. Sports have always been a big part of my life. I played basketball for some club or something. You know what I'm saying? So I went to basketball tryouts. Came to basketball tryouts. I pull up to the JV practice, and these guys are huge. And I'm waiting in line to try out and all this stuff. I'm getting discouraged the more I'm waiting. And from the background, I hear people getting slammed. I hear there was this cage enclosed. You couldn't see it. There was no windows or nothing. And I hear people getting slammed. I'm like, so I'm watching what's going on. I'm waiting my turn. Everybody's kind of looking at me like, yo, you little, bro. There's no way you're gonna make the team, kind of thing. So I'm like, man, I'm feeling it, But like I said, I wanted to do a sport. I wanted to get into something. So freshman year, high school, and I hear these guys. I hear this guy calling out. I hear this noise, like the walls getting banged on and stuff. I'm like, what's going on? So I go around the corner, and there's this little cage door, and I see people wrestling, and they call it wrestling. And so one of the coaches, he calls me out. I'm watching them. I started watching them, seeing they're doing double legs, they're doing single legs. It looks crazy. And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool, And the coach actually comes out to me. He said, hey, what's up? He's like, hey there, boy, what you doing? I'm like, oh, just watching, blah, 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 blah. He's like, you never wrestle? You ever seen wrestling? I'm like, no. I was like, those guys look big. Like, I don't know. He's like, no, you can wrestle at 103. You look like a 103 pounder. Like, you're a little, you can wrestle at your weight class. So from then on, I tried out that day. I've been a fan of the sport since. I went from JV freshman year, sophomore year. I ended up placing 5th in the state in a 4A school. Placed 5th in the state as a sophomore. Junior year, I placed 4th in the state. I was ranked number 1 in the state of North Carolina my senior year.
Oh, that's hard, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's where my MMA background comes from. And then right before season, epic thing happens with the family and brings us back to Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
So I missed my season in North Carolina and went through a hard time. You know, we all go through things, family wise, and I chose family over. You know, obviously I had scholarships at Duke and whatnot. California, the education is different, grades are different. So came out here and it I kind of lost a hunger for it. Fast forward to last year. I was lifting weights. My brother's big on lifting weights. He's actually like bodybuild. He does all the, you know, poses and stuff. And so I was big on lifting weights, but I started getting tired of going to the gym. I'm like, why am I just lifting these weights so I could be big? Like, I'm not even big, you know?
Yeah.
And and no matter how hard I try, you know, I got up to 185. I was pretty ripped, pretty big. But even that's not that big, you know? And to maintain that, the amount of food I was intaking, everything, like, it's just too much. It became a chore to eat even, you know? And I was just like, you know, I want to find something else. Like, I see my brother, and he's been doing it for years, and he's having joint problems and stuff from powerlifting and whatnot. I'm like, man, I don't really want, you know, like, I'd rather do something else. The fact is, I would take a lot of time to be doing gym too. So I was like, let me find something else I could do with my daughter. So me and my daughter signed up for down in DHS. We went to an MMA / jiu-jitsu spot. And I really did it just to spend more time with her. I walked into jiu-jitsu spot with my wrestling background, and I started putting it to people. And they're like, yo, you ever thought about doing this, like, for real, for real? I'm like, nah, I was just kind of
trying to... You're just bodying people?
Yeah, I started throwing around, like, brown belts and black, but, you know, like, I'm competing with I'm taking down black belts. You know, you get on your back as a jiu-jitsu artist, you know, that's where the trouble happens, you know. But the takedown and everything, I was doing pretty well, you know, taking people down. They're like, yo, you ever thought about fighting? And I think the love redeveloped, and it was something missing out of my life. And so last year, I started training for a fight. I won King of the Cage, Breakout Fighter of the Year. I was on a podcast. Shout out to Fight Culture. She's on Instagram. And yeah, man, I just fell in love with the sport, and I've been there ever since. Right now, I'm training at the Diaz Center over in Indio.
Oh, the Diaz Boxing Club?
Yeah, so I realized in my second fight, I was rushing takedowns, and instead of setting up takedowns, I needed to work on my hands, but I wasn't comfortable, so I would rush the takedowns because I'm more comfortable on the floor and ground and pound and whatnot. So I was like, let me get better with my hands. So what better place to do it than train with Joel Diaz and Antonio Diaz. I got to spar with Cub Swanson, so I'm excited for it. I got a fight coming in October as well.
Damn, that's sick. Well, where's the fight happening at?
It's gonna be in Santa Barbara, Shumash Casino.
That's badass.
Yeah,
how was
October 28th.
So you've done wrestling in high school, but like, how was the experience leading up to your first fight? Were you nervous? Like,
hell yeah,
I'm about
bro.
to fight this fool. He's about to knock me out.
Yeah, because anything can happen, bro.
That's
like,
so scary, bro.
Yo, anything can happen at any time. You're wearing 4-ounce gloves. You know, it doesn't even matter how, you know, you could be great at what you do and get caught. You know, you see it all the time. It's not a safe sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, any moment. So going into it, man, there was definitely nerves. Luckily, I got a rear naked choke in the first round.
Oh, sick.
So I went against a Muay Thai fighter. He threw a kick. I caught it, double leg, took him down, ground and pound, and put him in a rear naked choke. Choked him out in the first round.
And what's your goal with the MMA? Is that just something that you're just passionate about, or you're like, you know what, if I commit to it, like, let's see how far I could take
Same
this?
thing. That's my problem. Anything I do, I want to do it full force. You know what I'm saying? So I noticed that it's a whole nother world that I got to tap into. I'm actually doing a vlog right now of all the gyms in the area. I'm filming the different jiu-jitsu gyms, MMA gyms right now. So I'm doing it full force, man. I want to go to the UFC if possible. You know, maybe get paid to do it. After sparring with Cub Swanson, he put me on game. He told me gave me some good knowledge. In that gym, you see a lot of pros in there. It just seems more tangible. It seems, you know, around the corner. So, hey, if the fighting makes it first, then I'm with it. You know, in the meantime, it's good for you. You know, it's good for my mental. It's a good place to release. It's good for my body. You know, I feel more confident. You know, walking around, you know a little something. It feels better. You know,
you can fuck up anybody walking around.
Hey, you know, with as humble as possible. You know, but yeah.
Now that sounds super cool, bro. Because like. That creates the discipline that you need for anything you want to do. So
it's the same principles, bro. With music, it's a sport. You know what I'm saying? And every day you don't write, there's an artist out there writing. You know what I'm saying? every day you don't show up to the gym, there's another guy showing up to the gym, you know, and if you keep that in your mind, you want to be the best at whatever it is that you do, whether it's martial art, music, whatever it could be. I think that, putting that time in, it goes across the board in anything that you do, and monetizing that, you know, marketing it, pushing it, you know. I know I gained a lot more followers just from people like, wait, you fight too? Like, what? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I saw that shit too.
Yeah, they're like, oh, wait a minute, you're not just a rapper. Like, you actually do all this shit too.
The video that I first saw of you was the one that you did. It was the Pac freestyle with the windmills in the background. With that shot looked amazing, good, bro. That's an amazing shot. He killed it. That was sick, and then the freestyle was badass. That was the first like video I saw you, and then I don't know. Few months later, and I started seeing the vlog number 1, the MMA. I'm like, what the fuck? I was watching. Yeah, I ended up watching the little series.
So Joseph, Divine Visuals, he's we've done tons of videos together. I ran into him through a friend, and one thing I'll say is like he's good at what he does. I let him take control. I know he's great at what he does. You know what I'm saying? So, a part of that chemistry that we work together is kind of like, I'm a rap. I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna look pretty, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do, and then you got me. You know what I'm saying? As far as I allow him to kind of just really do what he wants to do. It's never like, hey, can you do this and that? Obviously, we collab on things, but just recognizing great in somebody else and allowing them to do it. You know, like I feel like that brings back to the topic of conversation. Like, that's a feature right there, you know, in itself. Like, when you allow that, you know, you guys can come up with some great stuff. As far as the MMA goes, he also wrestled in high school. He boxes too. So that came just off of, hey, let me vlog you. Like, hey, bro, like, let me video you. Like, don't even worry. I love this shit. Like, he's a big UFC fan, and whatnot. And so, yeah, that's how we tapped into that. So now we're vlogging, and we're going to be vlogging all the gyms. We're going to be going through my next journey for this next fight, preparation in that, start camp in probably the next 3 weeks.
You should definitely be posting content of every single thing. Like,
I know
every single training session, that should be. It doesn't have to be.
No, you're right. I try to do little like boomerangs and shit. What do you think?
So, for example, on your Instagram could be more curated.
Mm-hmm. But what do you mean by that? Sorry.
So, for example, like starting my training camp for my next fight, this is day 1, and then even have somebody just record you a little bit, like the first training session. Maybe it's just running, maybe it's a little sparring session, whatever it is. Just document it. Like, it doesn't, and it doesn't have to be cinematic.
Like a daily thing, you mean?
Yeah, like every single day, because there's gonna be people that follow different storylines, and it could be, I don't know, you could package it like day 1 before my fight in 2 months, and day 2 before my fight in 3 months. I don't know, you could package it like day 1 of 30. You know, you could count how many training sessions you have.
Yeah.
And updates, you know, like, oh, today we did this. Oh, today we're running right here in these hills, because I saw that on the vlog you guys were running, doing these like hikes and shit. All that documented. And then, of course, you could still do the cinematic videos, but I think just having
that raw footage,
and people seeing you every day showing up, doing shit, like people,
they feel more a part of it, huh?
Yeah, they'll be more connected. And there's people that are not gonna know about your shit until like episode 27, and like, oh damn, this
people get on Instagram when they feel like it, you know, they get on,
or the YouTube. Timeline might not even show them because everyone's follow celebrities,
get buried and shit.
So like some people might start watching from the beginning, and then they might not watch for another 10 episodes, and they'll like, oh shit, this was still added, episode 17. Oh shit, let me see then they go to your profile and see what else you've done. And then
thank you for that.
Because you're doing daily, you're connecting with people daily. So let's say 2 weeks in, you're like, oh shit, I'm dropping a song actually, fucking, or I'm in the studio session today. Oh, I had my gym session. We're actually gonna go to the studio and record a song, and then you just make a little piece of content there. That's just like making connections with humans, you know, because at the end of the day, it's like, we almost want to post our polished content all the time. And it's just like how you're different from everyone else posting their polished content. And
absolutely
what makes you different. And I think what makes people different is just showing up almost every day, I guess.
Treating it more like that, you know. And I think I made that mistake too, because to bring it back, you know, I went to Hollywood, and they're big on the things I learned out there is like you said, marketing, and you want everything to look perfect, and you only show highlights. But that doesn't build fan base. That I feel like it, to an extent it does, but like you said, that raw footage, like I feel way more connected to you. Like, you're at the barbershop cutting hair, and then you went and trained, and then, you know, like I feel like that shows a whole nother side that I don't know, like it's easier to relate to.
you give
Thank
them,
you for that.
You give them different ways for people to follow you. So like even post the barber content, like that's, I don't know if you want to get into that, but
Yeah.
even just posting that you're at the barber shop, there's gonna be people who also work at a barber shop that might, oh shit, there's a barber content, like, oh, what the fuck. So people are gonna follow you for different things that they relate to. So some people might follow you for fighting, some for music, some for some barber stuff. Maybe you say some motivational shit. Maybe they get inspired by your song, and you just give them different. You're a
Parts
tree,
of you,
so
yeah.
you're a tree, and every branch, it's a part of your personality. You talk about your favorite movie. Someone's like, "Oh shit, I like that movie too. I was watching fucking Barbie the other day, and fucking Margot Robbie did fucking this Oppenheimer. I don't know." You talk about your favorite show growing up. So
it's the little things that matter, right?
All that, like we're all trying to connect because we're still human. We're still animals. We're fucking apes, like you're saying that shit. So it's like how people want to relate to other people, and sometimes that polished content, like it's. I think we are so inundated with so much content every day that's all polished. When you see something that's raw, like sometimes you pause, like, oh, what's this? Oh shit. Okay, cool. They might just like it. They might not even comment. There's people that watch, and sometimes they don't even like. They just scroll past it, but they're watching. And then if you keep showing up, they respect that shit, bro. Like you'll, and then like maybe 30 posts later, they'll be more engaged. Or you drop a song, they might go to your fight, they might go to your performance, and I think it's just
they want to support you more.
Yeah, I think that's just showing them every aspect of you.
You're putting in that hard
and you're
work.
also curating it, so it's not like every aspect. You know, there's some shit you don't want to post. There's some shit you don't want people to see. You have your own family time. You don't want to, you know, just little snippets of things you're doing. But it's important to document everything because maybe in the future you want to do a documentary about yourself, and now you have videos of tons of videos that in the future someone could create a documentary. Let's say you make it to the UFC. You have like cool fucking stories.
You can see it from
boom, like, and then they could use that for marketing, or I don't know. It's just you never know what you could use that for.
You're right, bro. I think I should.
And you're doing cool shit, bro. Like MMA and fucking like all this shit, bro. Like most people
right back at you.
Most people only fucking just watch Netflix. Like I was saying, it's like, and that will create like a core of people who might go to your shows and watch you perform.
They want to support. No, I definitely thank you for that because I feel like I think that's the direction I want to go. You know, build up the people around you, but also connect. You know, and the only way to do that is doing that groundwork. You know, showing up, letting people see that you're showing up. You know, going to the different gyms. Like I said, I'm doing a vlog, going to the different gyms, like meetings, handshaking, sparring with these guys. You know what I'm saying? Connecting on that type of level too. All that is a part of it. I feel like. I mean, even from that, I've had people, hey, small businesses like, yo, can I put my logo on your shirt? Like, you know, like, and now you're a sponsored athlete and this one and whatnot. So I could definitely see how. I appreciate you saying that. You know.
Yeah,
exactly. I feel like now I got some ideas. from the legend himself.
That's what it is, bro. It's just, and that's all we do is content. We create a lot of content and studying content. You know, like even some stuff I do, there's ways that I could get better. There's some stuff that I post sometimes I'm like, I should have done a better edit, but then it's like, fuck it doesn't matter, let me move on to tomorrow's post and tonight's post and let's keep going forward, you know. And not every post has to go viral. Some posts are just you want to show something that you like or something that you're going through, or you just make a post. Like,
yeah,
you know what I like on social media, those random photo dumps, where someone would just like, oh, just some random photos, and it's like, and then you actually scroll because
it's something different.
Something different. It's like fucking coffee and them just chilling, like it's nothing crazy.
Their dog or whatever.
Yeah. And we always like stop by because we're curious. We're curious people.
We're like, oh, he's showing her his life. Like, oh snap, this is his puppy. I love puppies. Yo, Desert Underground, I'm trying to pull up. Who wants to see me perform? Let's go.
For sure, we'll link up and see what our next dates are. We'll do something. We're trying to find more venues because the more shows we do, we get way more artists hitting us up. Yeah, and we have like a lot. Like our DMs are just full of different, now artists from other like cities and shit. Like